All right, everyone, welcome to the March Steering Committee meeting of Cherry Creek. And thank you all for being here. I think there might be a few people who are out of town. I am hopeful that Owen will be joining us and Jamie as well to continue our conversations. But we'll keep our fingers crossed that they can make it. But right now, I think what we're going to do is I will tell everybody because I've talked to Tracy about this. I think I have all of the meetings except February up on our the Cherry Creek North Neighborhood Association website. So if you were missing a few of those, or you just can't wait to go catch up on one that you've missed, or if you absolutely have insomnia, they're all up there now for you. So there you go. And I will get that from you, Richard. I think I have a couple of sticks to give you so you can load that one up for me, and I think we'll be all caught up.
Sounds good.
And it is easier for me when it's on Zoom because then I can upload it more easily. It's just I had a glitch with getting new computers and everything. So hopefully that will be fixed. And Stuart, thank you for joining us. I saw Stuart Anderson join us a moment ago. And so anyway, let's jump into it. First of all, I want to tell you all that I have spoken to Councilwoman Sawyer, and I've asked Tracy Winchester to step up and be a vice chair of the steering committee. She is on the board of Cherry Creek East. She also has an incredible background for undertaking this big lift that we are all talking about in terms of the GID. She said, yes, I told her, if things change for her, she can reconsider. But I would like to turn it over to Tracy just to give everybody an idea of the wealth of her experience, the depth of her CV. And Tracy, please let everyone know. I mean, your smiling face has been here for some time, but it's not often that we get to do a deep dive. So please give us some detail on your background.
Well, thanks, Lou. And I will not take up a lot of time. Thanks, Mike Hughes, for the shout out. I appreciate that from Hilltop. I just want to just briefly capture my background. I spent 26 years in the cable industry, but prior to cable, I was in the public sector, worked on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. for the House side and the Senate side, then went into private sector. And then when I came out of private sector, I went into the community. I was working with the Five Points Business District, had an opportunity to be the the executive director there. And at that time, we actually did a Tabor vote to become a business improvement district. And so, but prior to doing that business improvement district vote, we also did a survey of the community around us, Curtis Park, San Rafael, et cetera, to see if we wanted to do a GID, General Improvement District. And that was because we were on the heels of Rhino doing the same exact thing with putting in place a GID along with a BID. So that's where my experience comes from. And then after working in the community for economic development, I joined the mayor's office as the deputy chief of staff for the last 2 years of his administration as Michael Hancock. The Mayor Johnson did ask me to stay over for a little bit, so I did work for him a little bit, but that's been really, in a nutshell, my experience. And all along the way, as Brooks will tell you, he made sure, tapped into me back in 2012, 2013 to work with the Cherry Creek East Association. And I was the vice president there and was on the board for a couple of years with that crew from Trish Palmieri and Barbara Metzinger. I mean, so I come from that crowd, that Cherry Creek East crowd. So I'm glad to be back here again. Meredith, also worked with Meredith quite a bit as well while in Five Points. She was a great resource as well, and I relied on her to give me lots of resource information and et cetera as it relates to developers and just really the whole gamut of economic development in our community. So I am glad. I am a 26-year resident of Cherry Creek East. And so this is my love, this is my home. And so having served on the Cherry Creek Steering Committee way back when and coming back again, it's my honor actually, Lou, to be asked to be vice chair. And I really do appreciate what you just said. I am stepping up, and but it's an honor to be a part of the leadership committee here with you. So thank you very much.
And Tracy, I cannot recall where did you go to law school?
Oh, the Hoyas, which I'm looking at the March Madness. I don't see Georgetown in any of the
The
I don't know
brackets?
what's going on. Usually we're a powerhouse between Georgetown for law school, and then I had Boston College for undergrad. I'm a Massachusetts native, and so generally one of those two schools is in the Sweet 16 or somewhere in there. So I don't know what's going on this year, but yeah.
Well, my guess is you'll have enough on your plate, you won't even miss it. So, well, everyone, let's just thank her for stepping up. I mean, especially with this deep legal background, her political ties, her immense knowledge of districts and how they work. I think we're really, really lucky to have her as long as we can keep her. So, thank you, thank you, thank you for that. And with that, I will, hopefully in the next day or so, get the upload the February meeting. But I think if you go now to the Cherry Creek North Neighborhood Association website and just search steering committee, or you can break it down because we also host on that all of the Cherry Creek North Neighborhood Association meetings. So I'm caught up. And with that, we will turn it over to council folks. I'm looking to see if we have anyone from Councilwoman Sawyer's office. I do not see anyone. Now, I do know that the councilwoman is out of the country, taking a much needed vacay. So maybe she will join us. If not, we will just table some of those issues. Jamie Gillis did send me an email couple hours ago and said that something had come up, that she would try to join later, but that she had given Owen some updates. So if he is able to join us, this is spring break, so we've got some issues with people being gone, but we'll hold on to that. I don't see anyone from Councilman Cashman's office, so we'll go on. And I'd like to ask Richard, maybe you can give us an update on all things bid, but also tell us a little bit about that car show.
Absolutely. Coming off my cell phone today, so I don't have my camera on, but just a heads up, Owen's out of the office until March 27th, so I'm not sure if he'll be joining us. I got an auto response from him. Yeah, on to events. Well, I guess the first thing to really let everybody know is that the demolition permit has been issued by the city for the Waldorf Astoria site. So that starts on the 27th. So tomorrow we'll start seeing the two south buildings come down. We're also hearing that the office building on Milwaukee will start construction in May. So those two on top of the other few projects we have going on with Cherry Lane and the other big apartment building. We're going to be quite busy with, just I'd say a lot of impacts to the right of way. We're working hand in hand with the city, trying to minimize those impacts as much as possible, ensuring that every block face on one side of the street or the other will have pedestrian routing. So we'll make sure we have pedestrian tunnels around Milwaukee on the office building side to make sure we can walk north-south through the district. Jumping over to, I guess the other big news is our new public safety company starts on the 1st of next month. So you will see a new company coming in. It's Marksman Security. And Dan Robinson, who is our current lead, is going to be our contract manager for that account. We are increasing our public safety hours a little bit. and we are still looking for a public safety director. So that position is open, and we're going to hire a senior manager for the bid on public safety. Jumping over to events, looks like we have the May 3rd set aside for the RNO Shred event. So Lou, maybe you could touch on that. I'm not sure if that is a for sure go, but it's on our agenda here on our permit. And then we're going to launch into our first concert on June 12th. So that concert will be in the evenings, one in June, one in July, one in August. We'll jump from that to Smash Fine Arts Festival. And that event will be on June 14th and 15th. Then on June 28th, we'll have our first pop-up car show in the morning. So that'll be an early show. I believe they're starting at 8 a.m. Of course, then we got the Cherokee Arts Festival. I have seen the map for the Arts Festival. I think there's a few more details to still work out with some of the construction sites that might impact what they were planning. Then we'll go to our second concert, which will be on July 10th. We will have a Bastille Day French Fest in the district this year. So that'll be on July 12th and 13th. Then we'll jump right over into 5280's Top of the Town on July 17th, and another car show on July 26th. Followed up by a Smash Fine Art show on August 9th and 10th. And then another concert on August 14th. And finish out the summer with another Cars and Coffee on August 23rd. So those are our events up until the fall. So we're excited to get those going, and looks to be a beautiful year. Landscaping projects are starting. We're remulching the district. A lot of the bulbs are coming up. Pat's deep in planning with new landscape projects for the year. We will be tearing up Fillmore to replace the bollards on the north and south end of Fillmore on 1st and 2nd. The existing bollards that were put in originally on the new north are frozen in the ground, and we're going to get new ones, new installed retractable bollards for that street. So I guess that's my report.
Richard, Babs made a chat question here. What is the determination on the alley issue for the Waldorf? We know that that it was reported last time that they were working on sort of redoing that alley to have the public space off
Absolutely.
of St. Paul. Maybe if you could give another update on that.
Yeah, so the north-south alley eventually will go away. That will pull into the parking plaza for the property. There will be a new east-west alley that will come off of St. Paul Street, intersecting with the alley that already cuts through between the old Bombay Clay and the building next door. So they have to build the new alley before they can vacate the old one. So that'll be the first phase of construction. We'll be building the new alley to turn it over to the city.
Do you know, Richard, as a part of that, obviously the folks at the Laurel were concerned, you know, that we had talked about, and those of anybody who attended the design review board, which you're always attending, Richard, is the backup and the beeping that goes with large trucks backing up was a concern so close to the Laurel building. Are we going to be able to ensure that some of that heavier, noisier traffic to serve that project will come off of St. Paul and be on the St. Paul side instead of the Steele side, so as to respect those residences?
I believe the way they have it designed, if I recall correctly, it has to come off of St. Paul. I'm trying to think if they have a cut through from under the valet area, but I believe it has to come off of St. Paul, and they've done a full plan with how trucks can turn around, and that'll be fully managed deliveries on that property. You know, they're not going to have they'll have a retail, of course, footprint on the bottom, but from what I'm understanding, they heavily manage their building and access to it. So much so, even the parking garage underneath will only be accessed by car elevators. So they will not have ramps to drive into the garage. It'll be only valet parked with elevators for vehicles. So Lou, I will follow up on that though, when they get a little further down the path past construction, we can speak to somebody in operations.
Thank you. I think that would be really appreciated. And at some point, we'll want to get maybe those plans when they're finalized, and if they also have their parking plan, as you know, that would be a great thing to be able to share with folks. So thank you for those updates. So out of curiosity, what does it take to get into the car show, since we have so many people who remember this committee with great old cars?
It's actually not a show that the public can show their cars at. They're more than welcome to attend, but all the cars are brought in by, oh, I'm sorry, I'm drawing the blank on the company that's renting it from us right now, and I don't have it in front of me. But it's all private cars that are coming in that they're showing.
So anybody here could bring their cars in?
No. It's all this company that are bringing their cars in. Anybody here
Oh,
can get attend the show, walk and check out the vehicles and see the vehicles. But all the cars that are displayed are vehicles that are owned by this one broker, and that brings them
okay.
in. Yeah.
Oh, and they're all for sale then?
Some are just on display. They bring in a lot of cars just for display purposes. It really is a client event for them.
I
That's
see.
open to the public. They actually also buy out coffee for everybody. So if you attend, last year they bought out Starbucks and provided coffee for everybody. And I think they might bring a coffee cart in this year.
Cool. Well, that is great. If you so can you share the first date? Somehow I missed writing that one down. I think I have most of the rest. The next,
Yeah, let me pull that back up. The first date is going to be June 28th.
8 o'clock. Okay. All right. And that might be something fun, since Linda Barker's here, that we can, if we can get that information, we can always share it on the Facebook and in the updates. So that's really fun. I just didn't know that was, of course, being an old retired person, 8 o'clock walking down into the hood is maybe too early for me these days. But anyway, thank you so very much for that. And unless there's does anybody else have a question? We good to move on? So I'd like a Cherry Creek West update, and then I'm going to turn it over to Stuart to talk just a little bit about an award that relates to Cherry Creek West. But Jenny, I think you're here.
Yes. Yes. Good evening, everyone. So Cherry Creek West, we are still doing asbestos abatement on our first building, which is the old Boulder Running Company. Just clearing that out and making sure it will be safe by the time we get to demolition. So still working on that building. And then our goal is to move into the old Elways building probably later next month. So still in process on both of those buildings.
Okay, thank you. Stuart, Stuart, as you all know, is the head of Transportation Solutions, which is the Transit Management Association for our area. And there are a couple of updates. He can talk about the upcoming event, but also this award. Stuart?
Absolutely. We're having our annual event this year on April 17th. It will be at DU again in the same space. If you've been there before, it really is a lovely setting for us. Our topic this year is affordable housing and transportation and how those work together. We have a very meaty agenda. We have a keynote speaker coming in from the Sightline Institute out in Portland, Oregon, who's going to talk to us about some of the innovations that they've pursued in their area. We will also, for those of you who are in the business, the Colorado Housing Authority will also be speaking. RTD is using our event also as an opportunity to unveil what they're calling ETOD, which is Equitable Transit-Oriented Development. So there's supposed to be new policies coming out. I encourage all of you to come, and all of you can come for free. Every year we provide a promo code. And I'll send this, Lou and I will coordinate and make sure that this gets out in writing. So if you don't have a pen right now, but it's just the acronym for this group, the CCSC. So if you put down as that as a promo code, you'll be free. I was also really excited today to hear the American Planning Association has designated our conference as a credit class for those who need to have their planning certification. That was really a surprise to us. You have to have a pretty meaty agenda, and I think that they were happy. This is the first year they've ever done that. So we're excited about it. Each year we have the honor of going out and finding folks who have done exceptional things that complement the mission of our organization. And this year, our executive committee has selected Amy Cara to be our awardee for our Community Leadership Award. If any of you had a chance to talk with her or work with her, she was exceptionally willing to listen and to look at innovative things. I really think that we ended up getting a lot more than what they would be required to do. So I really think that that this really needs to be acknowledged. And I think that Amy has taken kind of the standard and moved it up a little bit in our area for addressing mobility in ways other than just providing a parking space. So please attend and we'll get that information out to you.
Great. Thank you very much, Stuart. And congratulations to Amy. Jenny, you probably knew about this.
I did not. That's so exciting. That's
you
awesome.
didn't, because
yeah.
I mean, she's been informed and I've exchanged
Okay.
some emails with her, but yeah, she's probably not one to like widely boast about it, but now
No.
you can on
This
her
is great.
behalf.
I love it. I'm
Yeah,
excited to keep,
it's a really big deal. So thank you very much, Stuart, for that. Before we get started with our sort of keynote speaker tonight, I would like to see if Alan Gass wants to mention this event next month for the architects. Alan, do you want to say just a couple words about that?
The Denver Architecture Foundation has seen it within its magnificence to name a lecture series after me. So it will be the Alan Golan Gass Lecture. It will be given at the Botanic Gardens, Gates Hall on the 23rd of April. And Ron Radziner, who's a very well-known architect from Los Angeles, is the speaker. The irony of that is that Ron worked for me briefly. He went to graduate school at the University of Colorado. But anybody who wants to attend can find the registration for the meeting at denverarchitecture.org.
Well, what an honor for you, Alan, and we all congratulate you on
Quite a
this.
surprise.
Unfortunately, it's the same time as our steering committee meeting, as
Yes, I know.
recall. So it would be the only thing to keep me from that, Alan, to honor you. So
Or you could have a steering committee meeting there.
well, that'd be fun. But yeah, we'll get that information out to everybody as well. If you're interested, please reach out to Alan, but it's terrific that is a great honor for you as well. So with that, I am going to introduce Jessica Anderson, who will be talking about, many of you have seen some signs up about we're going native. And so she is the urban ecology supervisor for planning, design, and construction for Denver Parks and Rec. And I would like to introduce Jessica and thank her for being here. This is such an important beginning, and I'm sure we'll all have lots of questions. So Jessica, would you like me to make you a co-host? Do you have anything to share, or do you just want to talk to us?
Yeah, I'm hitting the button to send you a share request right now.
Okay.
So thank you all for letting us join you this evening. I have two of my colleagues also. Ian Schillinger-Brokaw is going to help me co-present, and our supervisor, Sensoray Eads, is also on the call. So between the three of us, we hope we can answer all of your questions.
Well, we thank you all for being here.
Okay. So I think I'm sharing my screen. Let me know if you can see it.
I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Excuse me. So we are here to talk to you about 2 park spaces along the Cherry Creek in the Cherry Creek neighborhood. So the city of Carmiel and the city of Takayama parks span between approximately Steele Street all the way to Colorado. And we are in the early stages of doing a landscape transformation on these 2 parks. So here's a map to get you oriented. They definitely feel like they're the same park, but these are 2 distinct sister city parks for Denver. On the north side of the creek, you can see shaded in kind of that light green color is the approximate area we'll be transforming. It currently is water intensive bluegrass turf that doesn't get a lot of use. The Cherry Creek Trail gets a ton of use from walkers and bikers and people enjoying the trail and the waterway. But the turf grass doesn't have a lot of amenities. As you all know, there are no athletic fields here. There's no formal picnic sites. It's more of a pass-through space, a passive landscape. So we hope that by transforming this to a native landscape, that it will still be a very enjoyable nature-based experience for the community. So high level on our goals, one thing we like to say in Denver parks is we like to make our parks uniquely Denver. So more and more of our park spaces will start to have these native landscapes with a blend of native and passive and active recreational spaces. So they'll look like they belong in Denver in the high arid plains. A huge goal for us is water conservation. Denver Parks and Rec is Denver Water's #1 water customer. So we are always trying to do our part of reducing water within our park system. We have a huge partnership with Denver Water as well. So they will be providing a little bit of cost sharing funding. So as part of their MOU with the Colorado River Basin, they are committing with partners to reduce non-functional turf grass across their service area. So this little park will help them achieve their regional goal as well as our local goals. And then creating habitat. I'm sure you all know that the Cherry Creek is a huge wildlife corridor through this city. So all types of wildlife, this will just augment their habitat, improve pollinator habitat, and improve that human habitat as well. So our experience along the creek. So the project has 2 main components. It will be about a 6-acre landscape transformation over both parks, and then a completely new irrigation system across both parks as well. So the irrigation system is in construction right now, and you may see that construction happening. A quick update on how we've done some of the outreach about this project so far. Hopefully you've all heard of our It's in Denver's Nature campaign, which can be found at denvergov.org/nature. That's what a lot of our banners and signage are referring to. And it's really celebrating all of those things we just talked about in Denver, engaging native habitat, water conservation, kind of all those values around our urban ecosystems. Our project manager, who just left us, unfortunately, with the city, he had previously met with our sister city committee, since both of these parks are sister cities, to make sure they understood what was happening at these parks. We've talked to both Council District 5 and 6, so Councilman Cashman and Councilwoman Sawyer have both had an update about the project. And then it sounds like you've seen our temporary signage on the site and across the city. And then hopefully you were on the email blast that announced that the irrigation construction was starting. So we're always looking to do a little bit more outreach. If you have other groups or neighborhood organizations that would also like to hear this message, please feel free to connect me to them. And we'd love to continue to share this to new groups and new audiences. And with that, I think this slide, I'm going to hand it over to Ian, who is taking over project management of this project, and he can help explain some of the details.
Totally, yeah. I'm super excited to be here with y'all and go into a little bit more detail on the implementation side of things on the project. And I did notice as Jessica was talking, there was a question that popped up in the chat about trees in the site. And I think irrigation is a great way to kind of start opening up that conversation, and that, we are getting a full new irrigation system on site that's getting installed as we speak. And that irrigation system has been designed to hydrozone the trees and the native landscapes so that we can really get the proper amount of water to all the trees to maintain them on site, while also getting the proper amount of water to the native landscapes that's going to be having a less amount of water that's going to be needed than the trees. So that system is going to be dialed in for those systems so that we can make sure that we're still maintaining the tree cover out there on site. Just by upgrading the irrigation system into more modern components, better rotors and nozzles, we're able to get water savings just from being able to more intentionally direct the water that is being sprayed over the site. So we get just about 25% water savings purely from the upgrade itself. The design for this was completed in the fall of 2024, and our contractors started just about a month ago doing the install on site there. So expect to see even more activity out there as they begin to wrap up that irrigation retrofit side of things. I think with that, we can go to the next slide. So right after the irrigation retrofit is completed, we're planning on beginning the landscape transformation part of the project. And that is going to kind of involve producing a little bit of a report to really kind of understand the site, understand what type of species are going to be most attuned to the site based on soil and water testing and soil classifications, so we can be extremely targeted with the species that we are having to bring into the site and seed. We want to ensure as much success as possible. So we do a lot of work on the front end, kind of fine tuning and designing those seed mixes. And all that involves, looking at the water that is there on site, looking at the soil quality that's there on site, looking at the different types of soil compaction even that we have on site, and how much light we get in some areas versus others. Next slide. Yeah, awesome. So as it relates to implementation, we're still kind of in that design phase right now. So we have not selected a landscape contractor yet, but we expect that to happen in the next couple of months here, so that we are able to begin site prep in the late summer, early fall of 2025. So during that site prep period, we can expect to see some browning up of the turf grass out there. We'll be having different types of machinery and equipment out there to kill off the turf grass. We'll be ensuring that tree protections are installed. So we'll have a decent amount of activity in the spring and fall, with plans to seed this fall, to do a dormant seeding so that that seed can kind of sit over the winter, soak up all of those good hydration that we get from the snows and rainfall here in the winter. And then they come up, hopefully, really germinating nicely in the spring of 2026 is when we would start to see some of those more native species beginning to grow. And then after that installation period, we have a 2-year maintenance contract to actually help all of those germinating species get established. And that establishment process is very, very involved on these projects. So we can talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. So, Denver is one of those great places where we get a full sweep of the 4 seasons here. I think it's a really good metaphor for the 4 seasons of native landscapes as well. So, in that first year of the establishment process, the plants are really, really young. They're kind of growing into themselves. And then over time, they really kind of start to transition and morph into a fully established site. But also with that seasonality, we'll expect to see some very, very real changes on the site. So in that springtime, you can expect to see a little bit more of a flush of some of that color of the wildflowers. There'll be cool season grasses that are coming in that then slowly start to transform sorry, they don't transform themselves, but the grasses start to transfer their dominance over to the warm season grasses that we're seeding on site. So there's a really nice and engaging and visual interaction of species through the seasonality that we have here in Denver. So, if you go for a walk on Cherry Creek in the spring, it might look like a very, very different place in the fall because you're having different species kind of growing in. So hopefully this project is going to bring in a little bit of dynamicism to the landscape and a little bit of intrigue over those seasonalities. Next slide, please. And then last but not least, find it really important to talk about some of the expectations through that establishment period. As Denver started to really lean into the landscape transformation side of things, we have seen a couple of reoccurring trends on these projects that we expect and we plan for. The first of which is weeds growing in on site. Anytime we disturb soil or are changing management practices, we expect there to be some weeds that kind of come in over time or that have been hanging out in the soil for, in some cases, those seeds can last for up to 10 years. So we plan for that. We write that into our management contracts to treat the weeds on site. What we do really intentionally do with weeds is target them when they are most vulnerable. And for some of the weed species, that is when they are starting to grow up a little bit. So we don't always treat them as soon as we see them because when they're young, they're super resilient. They can just bounce right back from our treatment methods. We kind of really target that treatment to the best time possible. Additionally, we'll put up some fencing and signage around the site so that folks that are maybe just passing by or might not live in Cherry Creek can be kind of aware of what's going on as well. And then we'll really target our care and target our establishment on the site. So that means that we won't really be mowing it quite as much as it has been mowed in the past because we want to give those native species as much of a fighting chance as possible. So mowing them really regularly can stunt some of that growth and actually make the establishment period take even longer than anticipated. So we really, really try and target those mowing occurrences to specific locations to help germinate and make everything grow as fast as possible. Last on this slide, these landscapes do take time to grow in. So, they're starting off really, really young. They're smaller. These plants put a lot of their energy into growing below ground. So they're focusing on their root systems to get really nicely established, and they're kind of seeking out all of that water below ground. So you might not see as much growth on the top layer above the soil in the first year and a half, but I assure you they are growing underground. And then once they're nice and established underground, the top level of biomass, everything above the soil level really, really starts to take off. You should see some of those really beautiful grass seed heads and all the nice variation in color and flowers once we give them a little bit of time to get there. I think with that, we just kind of want to open it up to any sort of questions and comments from y'all. And Jessica and I will kind of tag team the questions based on who's best suited to be answered.
Are you guys following the chat, or would you like me to read any of the questions in the
I
chat?
just opened up the chat, so we'll go through those. But if you have additional questions, go ahead and raise your hand. So the comment about the trees, we are attempting to preserve all of the trees on site, as Ian mentioned. Meredith, I see your email address about living on the south side in the HOA. I will follow up with you, and maybe we can repeat this presentation for your HOA. Alan says, I hope you mentioned the natural landscape program at Babby Yar Park that has been in place since 1983. So yes, this is native landscapes are not new to Denver or new to Denver parks. We've been either preserving or enhancing those native landscapes wherever we can. It's a little bit of a new program to transition our bluegrass lawns into native. So yes, we're celebrating more of that native landscape. Would butterfly and hummingbird friendly plants be considered? Ian, do you want to tackle this one?
Yeah, definitely. So we plan on including forbs into our seed mixes, and then also a little bit later on through that establishment period, we're having some early on discussions with our operations team about actually bringing in some container stock, or, you know, kind of similar as if you go to a greenhouse and you buy some flowers there, and strategically planting those on the site as well to help support all the different types of pollinators that we have here in the city. So, you know, our goal with these projects is to support, you know, butterflies, hummingbirds, but also all the little bees and flies and stuff like that that are native to these areas of Colorado as well. So yeah, pollinator habitat is a huge component of this. And we're not just looking at the floral components, so the food sources for these pollinators as well. We want to be targeting some of the sites here to actually be able to support nesting grounds and breeding grounds. So a lot of the native pollinators that we have here are actually ground dwelling. So they like to be below that surface level, kind of burrowing down in the soils. So, you know, some of those bare patches that we might be seeing on the site could be as a result of providing some great habitat and homes for different pollinators that we have here out on site. And we intend to try and preserve those where we can as well, and create some even.
The next question is, there could potentially be, or there may have already been, some bike and construction vehicle conflicts on the trail. Is there plans to close the bike trail, or will be kept open throughout? Right now, the goal is to keep the trail open. The construction crew should have flaggers on site if they do need to take their equipment onto the trail. So they should be stopping that bike and pedestrian traffic to allow their vehicles to move through. So it should be that flagging approach. If you see any issues, please let us know, and Ian will be out on site periodically to help monitor some of that going forward. The next question is, how do you keep dogs from abusing the landscape area? Ian, do you want to tackle this one?
Yeah, that kind of, you know, comes down to, especially on our trail systems, we ask that dogs remain on leash when they're using our park spaces. So ensuring that, you know, all of us, all of our neighbors, all of our friends, all the people we might not know are being compliant with our rules and regulations as well. We do plan on including in the seed mix a little bit of a buffer area on the side of the trail, so that, you know, if folks want to dip off of the trail, you know, they have a little bit of that shoulder to be able to do so if they don't necessarily feel comfortable with bikers moving by them really quickly. So there should be a little bit of that kind of buffer zone that we will be seeding with native grasses, but native grasses that are a little bit more resilient to some of that foot traffic that we expect to see through this corridor here.
Next question, is this area a migration pathway for birds or butterflies? Ian, do you want to tackle that one as well?
Yeah, I definitely can. I was thinking that that's could be an interesting segue into some of that habitat connectivity side of things that I know you've been working on as well. But we do know that our corridors through the city are big hotspots for different types of insects and birds that kind of come and travel through Denver, especially as they, you know, might even come on the South Platte, hop from the South Platte down to Cherry Creek, all the way down to the state park. So we do know that there are these good corridors through the city along our waterways for a lot of our avian species.
Yeah, as Ian alluded to, we're currently working with a consultant team to do a habitat connectivity study across the city. And that's really helping us see where these important connections and corridors are and where the gaps are. So we're hoping that study can help inform our future work within parks and within our partner agencies within the right-of-way or other areas to make these sorts of improvements for habitat connectivity across the city. Richard says there is a beehive on the roof of the office building at 2nd and Josephine. So the neighborhood already is supportive of pollinators. I'll put in the routine plug we always say from the native bee population. Honeybees are not actually native to Colorado, so there could be some competition between honeybees and native bees. So just keep that in mind as we're promoting all pollinators. Not all of them are actually native, even if they are good. Honeybees are good for our urban agriculture systems. How might the wildlife change, if at all? There have been beaver, deer, etc. Ian, do you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, so I think we'd probably expect to see a similar representation of some of the larger wildlife that we have here on site. You know, these areas aren't going to necessarily be providing the size and level of habitat to see like permanent kind of habitat adoption in these areas. You know, deer and beaver kind of need some larger areas to really be able to work with. Being right next to a roadway as well, they are quite susceptible to some of that noise pollution associated with traffic at all times of the day. But I do expect that through these projects, we could see a little bit of an uptick in the amount of some of the, you know, the pollinator species that we've been discussing earlier on in this presentation. And then also definitely some of the birds as well, because with the increase in pollinators, that's an increase in food for all the different types of birds. So I would hopefully expect to see on, you know, some of the programs like eBird and iNaturalist that we might be able to see a little bit more diversity after these sites really get established to be able to support a little bit more of the habitat for those types of species.
Bill also commented that they've seen foxes, deer, porcupines, and coyotes. That's really awesome.
Yeah, they all really like to access to water, and water is really key around here. So I imagine they're really using the Cherry Creek itself.
The next question, will we add a larger curb to keep the dirt bikes and ATVs from going back and forth between the road and the green space? This happens often on weekends when ATV and motorcycle riders ride through. We won't be touching the curb at all on the street, so that is remaining the same for this project. We hope the community will be respectful and see things are changing and respect that. But as always, we would encourage you and your neighbors to help continue to spread that message. If you see these incidents, please call our 311 and our park rangers to alert them that this, you know, this is not in compliance with our rules and regulations in our park spaces. Brooks has a question of how does this relate to the Greenway plan that was completed a few years ago? My understanding, the Greenway plan was focused a little bit more heavily on Cherry Creek Park, which is more directly related to the mall west of our project site. So that area directly behind the mall of Cherry Creek Park is not being touched with this project. I believe the Greenway plan also referenced some informal trails potentially through this site. So we may investigate adding more informal trails. As we all know, the Cherry Creek Trail is heavily used in this area. So we may consider doing some informal trails in this area, but we won't plan them into the design right now. So we hope that most of that plan focused on Cherry Creek Park, this won't conflict with that as the Cherry Creek West development develops and associated improvements could happen with that.
And Jessica, I'll just add to that as well. I have the 2018 vision plan pulled up, and it does actually call for removal of non-native species and does show this area as a conversion area. So it is in alignment with that vision from the 2018 plan that was developed by the Greenway Foundation.
Excellent. Are there any plans to offer seeds and information to residents about converting their lawns to native? This is a great question. I love this question. There's a few resources I'd love to point out. As I mentioned, we partner with Denver Water. They are kicking off a big program targeting homeowners and HOAs to transform their landscape. So I'd encourage you to go to the Denver Water website to check out their resources. And then our partner agency, Community Planning and Development, is about to kick off a resilient landscape regulatory update. So this could impact zoning codes, rules and regs, kind of other associated landscape regulations across the city to impact other developments that are happening and encourage them to plant these types of landscapes as well. So keep your eyes peeled for more updates from Community Planning and Development about that project. And then the last question was about park rangers. So thank you, Sensory, for dropping in the park ranger hotline. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, this is Doug. This is sort of not really related to this project, but I noticed on as you continue on the trail past Colorado, there's a huge project going on now where all that green space was taken out before the Cherry Creek South Drive. Do you know, is that just a commercial project that's going up, or I thought that was always parkland before, and now it seems like it's just completely dug up for construction.
I'm not aware of a project there. Sensory, do you know about that?
So if you're talking about the area just east of Colorado, that is in Glendale, City of
Yes.
Glendale. There's the park, yeah, just on the north side. They are redeveloping that area. And so it's not Denver own. So Denver owns a portion of the channel through there, but we do not own the green open space that's currently being redeveloped.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
If are there any other questions? I don't see any other hands raised. I would like to, just because I think it fits a little bit, just acknowledge the passing of the CEO of the Botanic Gardens. Brian Vaught passed away. He was such an amazing supporter of landscape transformation, and it's a huge loss for our city and our gardens and the connection that Cherry Creek and this whole area has had with the Botanic Gardens. So very sorry to hear about his passing, and everyone please keep his family in their prayers and thoughts. If anyone else has any questions, please feel free to continue to put them in the chat. I do know now that, because he texted me, that Owen is here. There he is. So Owen, welcome. I hope it wasn't too, I don't even know where you are, but I know you're out. So thank you for making the effort to join us. I do not see Jamie, so perhaps you can give us an update on your office and also status of the JID discussion.
Yes, thanks, Lou. Sorry I was late. I've been in Europe for the last week, so I am just kind of transferring here. So basically, the councilwoman is out of town, and Jamie had a conflict, so you guys are stuck with me. Sorry. You all should be getting a postcard in the mail if you haven't already. Basically, it's explaining the general improvement district, and then there are 3 meetings on that postcard. One is specific for residents who live within the business improvement district boundary. One is for businesses, and one is for all residents in Cherry Creek. And so hopefully you'll be able to attend those. We've also updated the website with those links and all that. And you can go to the website at denvergov.org/ccjid. We met with Cherry Creek East last night, and it was well received. It was briefly brought up at their general residence meeting. We have another meeting with them specific to the JID in early April, and then of course with Cherry Creek North in May. And then aside from the JID, we are talking about the Vibrant Denver bond package that the mayor announced will be on the ballot this November. We've sent in requests to the mayor's office. We've put them on social media. I'm happy to send them all to you. If you notice anything that you'd like to see added, we'd be happy to add them. And then the last and final update that I've got is Parks Cleanup Day is coming up, and the Cherry Creek Trail from University to Alameda is on there. So if you'd like to sign up and clean that area with us, that'd be great. That's on April 27th.
Great. Thank you very much for the update. I did get my, Stuart just put the information on the Glendale development in the chat. So if anybody wants to know what's going up over there, there's your information right there. I did get my postcard. Again, this is an ongoing discussion. So please get involved. I saw a couple people walking dogs when we were walking ours today who also got it and raised some questions about, wow, this is interesting. What is this? So it's the very beginning of this discussion. And I think we're really lucky to have those leading the charge in D5. And so make sure that you all connect and spread the word on that. I think there are just a couple of other updates. I did want to, oh, Richard. You see
I just wanted
everything.
to, sorry, I just wanted to touch on what Owen had mentioned about this bond issue. I think it's a great time for the steering committee to consider, just really having a loud voice about the Greenway project on the Cherry Creek Trail. Such an important project, and it's a very expensive one. So the only way I think this is going to happen is if we could maybe get some of the bond issue and find matching dollars. And I think a lot of community support behind getting that in the bond issue would be great to have. So just leave that as a topic for discussion for folks.
Great. Richard, I'll be reaching out to you to get that other video anyway. Maybe we can talk about how to do that at the steering committee level, whether we should take out, some information, spread it throughout the steering committee memberships, but also maybe get some signatures going. But let's talk about a plan, because I completely agree with you. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that we've pounded the pavement with no result. But right now, I think there is quite a bit of energy to this. So I completely agree. Let's make sure that we do that. And then we'll have a report on what those recommendations will be next month.
Sounds great.
I would like, thank you, Richard, for bringing that up. I would like Linda to come on and talk a little bit about the Shred-a-thon this year.
There I go. Sorry, I was trying to unmute. So we're holding our annual Shred-a-thon. So this year it will be May 3rd from 9 to noon at the Cherry Creek Fillmore Plaza. And a call out and thanks for Richard for working with us each year on it. So you can walk up, you can drive through, and every single year there is somebody who walks through with a wagon full of recyclables. So it's so fun to watch. So again, May 3rd, 9 to 11, and CCNNA members can bring their materials to be shredded in the truck, and the people are right on site, and you can get 2 boxes or bags for free. And then everyone else is welcome to participate in the shredding, and it's $10 per box or per bag. So we're looking forward to May 3rd. And just another highlight as we're kind of moving into spring, Babs, who's on this as well, is coordinating our spring fling this year on June 4th. So we're working on the final details, but our spring fling is always the neighborhood gathering that's well received to kind of kick off spring and right into summer. Thanks, Lou.
Yes. And I believe the spring fling is open to CCNNA members, supporting members only, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Correct. Okay. So with that, if does anybody have Doug responded, a 10-acre entertainment district. Ugh. All right. So I am going to have to dig into that, but I think I joined the ugh part of that comment, Doug. So does anybody have anything else that they would like to bring up right now about their organizations, their neighborhoods, anything that they would like to share? Give me a shout out. Otherwise, we will bring this meeting to a close 30 minutes early. Meredith says she thinks that the Alamo Movie House will be there. So we'll see. Anybody have anything to share? Michael, I see you just came on camera. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, sorry, I'm cooking dinner, so I've had the camera off. The steering committee for Colorado Boulevard BRT is meeting tomorrow. I would imagine that many of you have that invitation. But they'll be meeting tomorrow to talk about the planning effort that will ultimately lead to a design and possibly some construction in the not too distant future. Federal programs for transportation withstanding. So lots to be done before this would become a reality, but the stakeholders are meeting, stakeholder meeting is tomorrow.
Somehow, Michael, I'm not sure I received that. Would you forward that to me? Because I usually am on those stakeholder.
Will do.
notifications.
Yep.
And is it Zoom or in person this time?
It's Zoom.
Okay, is it open to public?
I think it should be. So I'm gonna act as if it is.
Well, Michael, if you don't mind sending that to me.
Sure.
And then I will send it out to the steering committee as well.
Yep, 5:30 to 6:30 is what I have.
Okay.
Yeah. It's on its way to you shortly.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Great to see you. We had 21 folks participating.
I have
And-
one more thing to say for folks who have been around for Cherry Creek and know something about the tourism business. Pat Lee also passed. And that's a huge loss. She was a real mover and shaker, did a lot with the shopping center. I think, Richard, you worked with her, but I mean, she made major grounds in Denver. And so Rich Grant wrote a very nice something on Facebook, and there'll be a memorial service for her. But that was a huge loss, and to anybody who was involved in tourism and marketing of Denver. We owe a lot
Thanks,
to her.
Meredith. I did
she
not
was a
have the
treasure.
pleasure of knowing her, so.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Meredith. She was absolutely a treasure to us and really drove business to the shopping center and tourism for the state. So it's a big loss for us.
All right. Well, with that, thank you all again for being here. Please, I'll be sharing this link and this information. And if you have any ideas, things you want to continue to talk about, please send them to me, and we'll get them on the agenda. So thank you very much. Enjoy your evenings, everybody. Bye now.